Let's do it.
Cool.
Cool. So we've got a crew. I'm grateful to you all who joined, excited to talk to you. I will share my screen. Okay. I will keep an eye on the chat. You guys can all see
Yes.
this. Great. Cool. So we are here to talk about a topic that's really near and dear to my heart, um, which is HR teams of one, small, lean HR teams. So, how do you work and build in a way when you have no choice but to be lean? My name is Emma. I'm the founder and CEO of People Function. We are a fractional HR consulting company, and I've partnered with over 100 organizations in the last 5 years through People Function. And there are a lot of things that I've learned, and I'm excited to bring a few of those lessons in these short 25 minutes together. So I wanted to start off and just talk about the state of business today, which really is no surprise to anyone that we're in quite a tight capital climate. VC funding has dropped 30 to 40% since 2022. Companies are stretching their cash. They have a leaner headcount. We're also in this efficiency era where we used to see VC firms kind of pouring money into companies and expecting growth. Instead, boards and investors are now demanding more profitability over growth. We've also got much leaner organizations. Many teams have flattened their organizations, cut some potentially like layers of management. HR ops and L&D are often like those G&A categories that are the first to shrink. And the result here is that everyone is being asked to do more with less, and especially HR teams, again, in that G&A category. And I think what's really important about this environment is that because our teams are thinner and tighter, you really can't have people who are sitting in their roles and chilling. You really need people who are going to be engaged in the business to help like grow the company. And whereas in the past, when in like more flush capital markets, you could out hire the problems, like, okay, we have a problem here, I'll just add some headcount. That's not something that's acceptable to businesses anymore. So, like I mentioned, like you can't have people just sitting in their roles, but unfortunately, we're at a moment, it's everywhere, all over the news, like disengagement is rampant. Only 31% of employees are engaged. Satisfaction in roles has hit a 10-year low, and disengagement is super costly, costing, $500 billion annually in lost productivity. And people aren't leaving, even though they're disengaged, which shows that, voluntary turnover rates are the lowest they've been since 2013. Employees are staying, but they've checked out emotionally. So whereas we used to use retention as an important engagement metric, like look at we've got 90% retention rate. We really can't use that anymore. Like disengaged employees who stay quietly are draining the company, they're draining culture, they're draining the performance, their own performance of their team, the performance of the business, and they're draining energy. So here we are, lean teams, really big expectations on us. We are managing it all. We're doing recruiting, we're managing performance, we're managing engagement, compliance, all of that while trying to like build a nice culture for people. And we're constantly context switching between strategy and admin work, people, talking to people, HR business partner conversations, employee relations conversations, and processes. And we're also carrying the emotional load of everyone's burnout. And often we're doing it without HR teams in the trenches with you. It's super isolating and can feel like quite invisible. Sometimes I think this like rings true for definitely me in some of my past roles and for many of like my friends in this space, that like at the end of the day, you might feel like you gave everything, but you really didn't move the needle on anything. And really, like, want you to know you're not alone. Your work matters. And there's a lot of work behind the scenes that's really important, that really matters. And I think that's one of the things that's really important. This is like image that we use often at People Function, and I'll often talk about even in my like sales meetings when I'm talking to companies who are trying to figure out what they need to do for HR, is there's all of this invisible work. You know, we've got this hunk of iceberg that we have basic operations and core people ops all sitting below the waterline, all sitting below the surface of like payroll, benefits, time tracking, compliance, operational efficiency, recruiting, HRES admin, reporting, comp frameworks. All of this work is invisible, but that's something that we need to ensure is stable first. And then often the leaders have these like flashy opinions and ideas on what needs to happen. All they're seeing and thinking about is what's above the iceberg or above the waterline. The strategic operations, culture, performance, engagement, advising, talent management, L&D. So like you now are stuck in this problem where you're a lean team. All that people are seeing and caring about is what's visible. But you're stuck with all this invisible work too that they really don't understand and that's sitting below the surface. Does this resonate with anybody? Okay. So that's a hard challenge, but I think one of the things that's really important to remember is that you all have a unique advantage. You are powering the business in so many ways. Everybody knows you across the company. You are the HR person. You have visibility. You have a lot of agility, which is honestly mostly a forced function. You have influence. You can see the business from every angle. And that's an important, unique advantage. And so we're going to talk about how you harness that to lead smarter and stronger. There's a couple of these three things are what I think is really important to, if this is all you walk away with, totally great. But these are the three things that I think are really important to prioritize when you are a lean team running a one-person show. The first thing is becoming a business expert. And this is something that I say constantly internally, and I also hear often when I'm talking to companies looking for HR help. So becoming a business expert. This means like actually understanding your business's P&L, the profit and loss statement. How do you make money? Where's your money? Where you've raised millions of dollars in capital. Where's that money going? And where is it going in places that are inefficient? What's your runway? What's your customer story? These are all things that are really important for an HR team of one to know and understand. Then you need to become your team's number one thought partner as they build the teams and their business success. So this is taking that P&L statement and really figuring out, like, how do I plug in? How can I help run the business through the work that I'm doing in HR? So that's translating HR work into business outcomes. So retention is really about like cost savings and efficiency. Developing your team members is really about like increasing productivity. And speaking the language of leaders and being the connector between the people and the business strategy. I had a conversation with a COO this morning who said that her HR team is not performing, that they care a lot about people's emotions and feelings and how they're doing, and don't actually care or understand what the business needs to be successful. Of course, I like care about people's feelings and how they experience work, but I also know that if the company fails, those people will not have a job. And so there is, I think, an understanding of what she's asking for is she wants her HR leaders to be business leaders and to help solve business problems, but instead they do not understand the business problems and are not coming up with solutions and adding to the noise. And this, I think, is really important, is if you don't know your business, you cannot impact it. And if you don't know your business, you will never have a voice in the business. And also, like, really becoming a business expert makes you curious and ensures that your HR roadmap aligns with the business roadmap. Okay. Are there any questions? Keep going. The second, ruthlessly prioritize. So, okay, you've done one. You understand the business. You understand what your company needs to do to be successful. Then you look at that and you ruthlessly prioritize your own work. So choose the top 2 to 3 levers that you can pull as an HR leader that if you can work on, they will create the most value for the business, and focus on those things. So maybe it's the fact that your sales team isn't performing, and so you're going to focus in on sales team onboarding and like decreasing the ramp up period so that they can be effective. Or maybe there's like something going on between engineering and product that's not working. You're going to focus on like how can you improve communication between the engineering and product teams. Or maybe like there's something going on in marketing that's causing noise for sales, and you need to figure out how to like maybe turn that team over, bring in the right leaders, and like retain that team. But what are the levers that you can pull and the things that you can work on that will deliver value to the business? Then share your roadmap. This is what I'm working on for the quarter. This is what's paused CEO who wanted this shiny thing that's not valuable. And this is why, okay, I can prioritize this shiny thing. Do you want me to deprioritize the sales team onboarding? Like the answer is probably going to be no. Then over communicate, build visibility. That visibility builds trust. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm focused on. Here's what you can hold me accountable to, organization. And that focus on these levers that are driving the business can lead to results, and that those results create credibility. So the other thing that's really important here is saying no like a leader. Being able to say, like I said, okay, you want us to work on this shiny thing. Here's why I can't do that right now. Or, okay, why don't you explain to me why this is more important than sales team onboarding, which is my top priority? I feel like that's a big one. I'm going to see if anyone has questions about that. Okay. Keep moving. Third, identify tools and sell their value. So I have become a business expert. Everybody knows that I'm prioritizing. Now I'm going to bring in and build the tools and the processes and the programs that will make me successful. So what I do is like look at all of the things that I do in my job that drain time. Is it onboarding? Is it surveys? Is it reminders? Using like canned emails in Gmail. So I'm not drafting a new email every time I'm onboarding someone. Using a chatbot to build communication plans and schedule emails ahead of time. Okay, I'm rolling out a performance review process. I'm going to use ChatGPT to build all my communications, and then I'm actually going to go in and schedule them ahead of time so that they go right out. Using AI tools to summarize feedback, and obviously like using tools like Leapsome and other AI-powered tools that make things like review writing easier. Being able to quantify your ROI. So some of those things are free, or they might already exist. You also, I love, depends on what AI chat tool you use, but if your company has ChatGPT or allows you to use that, you can actually share projects with your team members. So you can create a project for like communication, performance management communication, where you upload all of your comms from last year and say, here's how we've changed our performance management plan, update my comms plan as, according to these new changes, and you can generate new ones and collaborate with team members that they can then work with that product. So some of these are free or cheap. And then it's also quantifying your ROI, saying, hey, look, I've been able to do all of these things. Here's the hours saved. Here's the speed gained. And here's what it is that I'm able to do now. And then also selling these tools as a strategic capacity investment and picking your battles. So if my CEO is aligned that I really should be focused on sales onboarding, what are the tools that I need to enable that? And how can that tool also power other projects that I've got in my roadmap down the line? And then I also think it's really important to keep connecting these tools back to priorities 1 and 2. I am bringing these tools on not because I feel like it. I'm bringing them on because I understand where we are from a cash perspective in the business. I know what it is that we need to do as an organization in order to be successful. Then I've chosen projects that strategically align to the business. And so here are the tools that I now need to be successful. We're also launching an AI tool that will help small companies build basic docs that are customized. So like to your branding and specific situation to make like onboarding plans, performance docs, JDs, recruiting plans and things like that. And we're doing it at a really like for very cheap, for like $1,000 a year, because I think that these things are really important and can be automated. And again, I love these small teams and I want them to be powered. So those are the 3 things that I think are really important when it comes to being a team of 1, being a small team, becoming a business expert, ruthlessly prioritizing, and then identifying those tools and selling their value. I wanted to end it on a bit of a 30-day sprint. So there are a couple of things that I think you can do now. Pick one business metric that HR can move. What is it? What, as you looking at your company's OKRs or their goals, what is one thing that you can impact as the HR leader? What is one lever that you can pull to impact that business metric? And how can you make that lever visible? How can you say, hey, everybody, this is what I'm working on, and you can hold me accountable to this? And then what's one tool you can use to pull that lever to impact that business metric? And then sharing one small win. That momentum of, okay, here's what I'm doing, here's how I'm doing it, here's what I've done, is totally contagious. So you can do it. You're not alone. You've got this crew of people here. You've got the Leapsome crew, always happy to help. Of course, I am too. I want to leave it to questions. I'm coming back here into the chat. If you want to learn more about us, you can follow us on Instagram or subscribe to our newsletter. But I'd love to hear from you all. What are you experiencing? What can I help you with? How can we talk about this? I want this to be super interactive.
Well, and as people are maybe thinking through some of their questions, just want to add that you did an amazing job and that was super insightful and inspiring. So thank you, Emma, for putting that together. And I can also attest as a subscriber to People Functions newsletter and a follower of their Instagram content. They put out amazing content and very creative Instagram content and TikTok. So highly recommend giving them a follow on social media for sure.
Thanks. We definitely made lots of jokes. Have fun.
Yes, I love the fun approach you all take there. But yeah, it looks like Joanna has a question. Do you have some more examples how AI can make our lives as HR leaders easier?
I think every onboarding communications, to me, actually, Joanna, I'm going to throw it back to you. Like, where is it that you spend the most time? What do you spend the most time doing?
I think it's a mix of things. I can't pinpoint it down to one thing that I spend a lot of time doing because, as you mentioned, as an HR team of 1, we're doing pretty much everything. So I was wondering if there's some things that you can, some examples where you found that AI made you much more productive or effective.
I think that you're pointing to the challenge of that. It sounds like you're in a position where like lots of HR people are in, where your time goes in so many places you actually don't know where it goes. And so what I think is important there is taking stock and even just spending maybe 1 month where you're writing down, or start with 1 week, writing down, but it does change so much from week to week if you have someone coming on board. Then it's all about orientation. But I think it's really about, honestly, what I would spend the most time on is talking points for managers. And for that, you can actually make a chatbot where you can upload all of your talking points you've ever written into a chatbot, and you can use it for yourself to create talking points. And then when you get it to a place that's really strong, you can actually give that chatbot to, like, this is the Joanna talking points chatbot. If you are struggling to figure out what to say to your direct report, use this chatbot as like a starting point to do that. I would also say like onboarding emails and plans, like anything that's like a drip campaign, performance review, communications. It is one chunk of work to get AI to help you automate it. But then every time you do it in the future, it is easier and better. Well, honestly, like the question you're asking is why I wanted to build an AI tool ourselves, because what our tool will do is it will let you choose like from lots of different categories: recruiting, engagement, performance, and gives you like basic templates for each one that's totally customized to your company. So that's why we build ours. I would also say, it looks like someone's put one in the chat from Life Labs. There's a company called Stacked. It's started by Jessie. She's in the EU. I can't remember where she is. STAKKD. That is a repository of like every HR tech company under the sun. Look through that and see what it is, because I think also what you're looking for is you're looking for the answer to a problem that you don't know what the question is. So you'll have to get a little more specific on like what it is that you actually want to automate. And I think that because the AI is not going to be a silver bullet, it will never be a silver bullet. And if, it just won't. It's about how you integrate it into your day and into your processes. Okay. Micah, who are mentors that are widely accessible, podcast hosts, authors? Check out Modern People Leaders. They're a great podcast. Follow Rebecca Price on LinkedIn. Check out our newsletter, of course. Those are a couple that Rebecca Price is at Primary. She's like a friend and a mentor of mine, and I think she has great insights on that she posts on LinkedIn. Oh, Life Labs Learning. Yep, I also would use Stacked. Let me see if I can grab it real quick. Stacked.tech. Here it is. Then there's a report sharing that the top stressors for HR teams are workloads and poor management. So I think like the poor management, this is where it's your job to manage up. We are never going to get good managers because often we're reporting to the CEOs and like they're mediocre. Often they're mediocre leaders and managers. So to me, like this is all about managing up. This is why like having ruthless priorities and being really careful and thoughtful and really strategically explaining that you are connected to the business and you're not just like some HR person becomes so much more important, because it combats that like poor management. I think like, if you have a bad manager, it's on you to unfortunately compensate for their poor management. Cool. Dr. Joe Burrell likes that. Yeah. What other questions can I answer for you? Cool. Awesome. Great. Any other questions, thoughts? What's HR going to look like in 20 years? I think that's a really good question. I don't know what anything's going to look like in 20 years. I would say everything is changing. I think it'll look different in 5 years than it looks now. I think with the increase of AI, having deeper business insight and really critical thinking is going to become so much more important, because everything else can move to AI. Being a true thought partner and helping to solve critical business problems is where HR will be going. And people who do not have critical thinking skills and are not connected to the business will quickly become obsolete and unimportant in this field. I believe that deeply. Preach critical thinking, Micah. Yeah, I talked about AI slop in this week's newsletter, because the people who create AI slop, like, those are not the critical thinkers. And it's our job as leaders to like demand critical thinking from our people, because that will serve them in their roles in our companies, but then also in their careers in the future. Yep. Yeah. The slop is making slop. Amazing. I think I'm going to get cut off because I think this chat ends, but feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, check out our newsletter, talk to us on Instagram. Very grateful to have been here. Thank you.